You ever watched a horror movie that left you completely speechless?
What is that?
The guy who uploaded this video said it was from a tape he found in the Black Hills woods.
Like your brain just couldn't process what it just witnessed. Well, whether you love or hate Blair Witch 2016, we need to talk about one thing: the absolute brutality of Talia's death scene. This moment isn't just shocking, it's straight up unforgettable. Let's rewind a little bit.
I think that might be my sister.
You really think your sister could still be out there after all these years?
We all know that the Blair Witch Project is legendary, a found footage horror film that changed the game.
If there is any chance I could find out what happened to her, I need to try.
It was so convincing that people actually believed it was real when it came out. And while its sequel, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 was, let's just say, a disaster, Blair Witch 2016 tried to bring things back to what made the original work: shaky cameras, lost hikers, and terrifying things happening in the woods. But there was one huge difference. This time, people actually died on screen. And that brings us to Talia. Talia, played by Valerie Curry, wasn't even supposed to be there.
Legend said there's been a curse on these woods.
She and Lane were the local conspiracy theorists who claimed to know the truth about the Blair Witch legend. But after they got caught faking some scares, they were cast out of the group. What happens next? Well, the woods don't play fair. When they return, something is very, very wrong. They claim that days have passed for them, even though for James and his friends, it's only been a night. They look horrible, dirty, exhausted, and terrified. Now, let's set the stage for what might be one of the best horror deaths of the decade. It's nighttime. The group is panicking. The woods are growing darker, and the sun isn't coming up. Weird symbols are appearing everywhere. Ashley, who's already injured, is losing it. She sees one of those eerie stick figures, the ones that have been creeping us out since the first movie. But this time, something's different. This one has hair tangled in it. Talia's hair.
Do you believe in the stories about the Blair Witch?
Ashley, in her rage, does something completely unexpected. She snaps the stick figure in half. And in that same second, Talia's body bends violently in the exact same way. There's no time to react, no time to process 1 second. She's standing there, and the next, she's a broken heap on the ground. The sound of it, oh man, the crunch of bones snapping like dry twigs. The way her body just crumples. It's horrifying. It's grotesque. And you cannot look away. This moment changes everything. Until now, look away. This moment changes everything. Until now. The horror in Blair Witch has been all about suggestion, things moving in the dark, eerie noises, the creeping fear of the unknown. But this is in your face, undeniable, supernatural horror. It tells us that the game has changed. That the rules are different now. If the movie had lulled you into a false sense of security, Talia's death violently wakes you up. And it's not just the brutality, it's the implications.
Oh my God.
The stick figures aren't just creepy symbols anymore. They have power. Real, terrifying power. And let's talk about how this scene is shot. It's not some flashy Hollywood-style death. No dramatic music. No slow motion. Just the dim, flickering light of a flashlight, shaky handheld camera movements, and raw panic. You barely even get a clear view of her twisted body. It's just shadows, shapes, and the awful, awful realization of what just happened. That's what makes it stick with you. That's what makes it feel real.
This looks familiar.
We've been walking in a circle.
From this point forward, the movie never lets up. The group spirals into chaos. The deaths become more terrifying. And all because of this one scene, the moment we realize there's no escaping what's coming. So whether you loved this sequel or hated it, you have to admit, this death scene was something special. It was creative, shocking, and brutally effective. And let's be really effective. And let's be real, when was the last time a horror movie made you feel that level of shock? Blair Witch 2016 might not be the perfect film, but this scene was horror gold.
They're everywhere. Who could have done this?
You did this?
What do you think? Was this one of the best horror movie deaths you've seen? Or did it ruin the Blair Witch vibe for you? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you love deep dives into horror like this, hit that like button and subscribe for more. You never know what terrifying scene we'll break down next. But let's dig even deeper. Why does Talia's death work so well? It's not just the gore or the shock value. It taps into something primal, the fear of losing control over your own body. The idea that someone else, with just a simple action, can completely destroy you. It's body horror at its finest, and it's terrifying because it feels so sudden, so unfair. And it's not just about the moment itself. It's... Oh my God! The way the film builds up to it. The slow realization that something is seriously wrong with the time in these woods. The way the atmosphere shifts. That creeping dread that settles in your stomach before you even know why. This scene isn't just a standout moment, it's a catalyst for everything that follows. It's the moment the movie stops feeling like a retread of the original and starts forging its own path. And whether you like that new direction or not, you can't deny that it was bold. There's also something to be said about how Blair Witch 2016 approaches its horror. It's not just about the scares, it's about the experience. The disorientation, the helplessness, the paranoia. This is a movie that wants you to feel as lost and terrified as its characters. And Talia's death, that's the perfect way to throw you off balance, to remind you that no one is safe and anything can happen. Of course, there are people who didn't love this scene. Some fans of the original film felt that showing explicit deaths took away from what made the Blair Witch Project so scary. That the fear of the unknown was always more powerful than anything we could see on screen. And that's a valid perspective.
This way, come on!
But even if you prefer the more subtle horror of the original, you have to admit Talia's death is one of the most memorable moments in the franchise. And let's not forget the sound design. That awful, stomach-churning crunch of bones. It's not just a sound, it's a feeling. A visceral, gut-wrenching moment that makes you recoil. It's the kind of sound that sticks with you long after the movie is over.
There's something out there.
So, whether you loved Blair Witch 2016 or not, you can't deny the impact of this scene. It's a horror moment that does exactly what it's supposed to do. It shocks, it horrifies, and it leaves you thinking about it long after the credits roll.
We found it!
That's not your sister. That can't be her.
But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Talia's death was one of the best horror movie deaths of recent years? Or did it feel out of place in the Blair Witch universe? Let's discuss in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got plenty more terrifying scenes to analyze, and you won't want to miss them. And here's one last thing to think about. What if the Blair Witch isn't just some legend? What if the forces controlling those woods are real? What if there are places in this world where reality bends, where time warps, where ancient powers still lurk in the shadows? Maybe, just maybe, the Blair Witch is more than just a story. Maybe it's a warning. Sleep tight, if you can, because the woods are always watching.